Are you a social worker that is frustrated by the field of social work? Well, I was just like you at one time, and by the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the reasons why I was so frustrated to the point that it actually made me leave the traditional field of social work. Because in this video, I'm going to share 6 reasons why I left traditional social work, and reason number 6 might be the same for you. It's a little controversial sometimes, but it is definitely one of the major reasons why I left, so stay tuned. Hi there and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Michelle, and on this channel I share tips, tools, strategies, and resources for social workers who are looking to go from being overworked and underpaid to owning their entire 24 hours as an entrepreneur. So let me tell you a quick story. One day, my boss, when I was working one of my older jobs, my boss had come to me to tell me that my coworker didn't feel like working the outreach table that day. So each of us had to do a rotation at an outreach event every week. And what we did was we worked with people who were going through foreclosure to help them to try and save their home. Now, I had operated the table twice in a row already because my coworker was notorious for ditching her responsibilities. She never wanted to do the outreach table. However, on this day, I had had enough, right? I was completely over it. I mean, I had operated the outreach event twice in a row, and neither one was my rotation, right? Plus, that day my boss had come to me. It was cold here, it was snowing, and the outreach event was over an hour away. And I remember my boss replying back to me when I told her that, yeah, no, I wasn't going that day. She would have to get someone else to do it. And she was like, Michelle, we love it when you do the outreach table because you represent the diversity we need, and plus you speak so well. The nerve. Now, can you insert huge microaggressions? I was like, oh no, she didn't. But I kept it copacetic. You know, I kept it real smooth. I did not lose my stuff. And so I was like, well, I apologize, but unfortunately I can't today. But of course, she went there. She was like, well, if you want to keep your job, you'll do it. Excuse me? So I remember looking her directly in the eye, and I was like, okay. I turned around, I grabbed all my stuff off my desk, I grabbed my keys, I grabbed my pocketbook, I grabbed everything. And I turned around and looked at her and I was like, okay, I quit. Now it was funny because she looked back at me for a moment in just complete silence. I think she was a little taken aback by the fact that I had just quit. So after a brief moment of silence, that's when her litany of verbal assaults came, which she was notorious for, right? She was notorious for this. It was the first time I think that I truly felt the benefits of my side hustle. It was literally the moment that I knew, okay, Michelle, you can actually make this work full time. Now, like I said, my business was in no way in a position to sustain me full time, not with the bills that your girl had, not the kid. But my goals and aspirations were bigger than that agency. They were bigger than the, ceiling that they were putting on me as a professional. And so when I left the building that day, I really just had one thing on my mind: by any means necessary. And so one of the first reasons why I left traditional social work was because in the area that I live in, so I live in a highly segregated city. I think like one year we were number 3 on the most segregated cities list, and so because of that, there's just a lot of overts sometimes and coverts sometimes racism. Some of it is very explicit and some of it is very implicit. And so that was one of the first reasons why I left, was the racism within the field. It's funny because we think social workers and we think, oh, we're all accommodating, we're all very understanding, we all have this very expanded worldview. And it wasn't until I went to school for my MSW that I realized, oh crap, no, actually we don't all have this expanded worldview, and we're all not very accommodating, and some social workers are racist or classist or sexist, right? It was very jarring for me, but I found that I didn't get into the field to deal with that. Now, this might not be something that you're experiencing, but it is pretty common in the field as I talk to other social workers who are like, yeah, no, it wasn't at all what we necessarily thought it would be. Now, one of the second reasons why I left the traditional field of social work was because of the terrible ass pay. Listen, the pay sucks. The pay sucks. Not for everybody. I have talked to a couple social workers who are pulling down some bank. I know a girl who works for the government. She works for the federal government, and she's pulling down some serious bank. But here's the catch. Her hours are not her own. She's on call 24 hours a day. Now, the third reason why I left the traditional field of social work, because of dangers on the job. And so I remember when I was in my grad program and they gave us a handbook before we went to our internship. And in one part of the handbook, it was like, be sure to wear comfortable shoes in case you have to run. And it really gave us a breakdown of how to practice safety in the workplace. And so they talked about not sitting behind the desk, or if you have a desk, make the client go on the opposite side of the door. That way you're closest to the door in case you have to get up and run. They gave a number of things to try and keep yourself safe, but I just remember thinking at the time, like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is going on in this profession? And so as I got into the profession and started to see the dangers of the job, it really concerned me, especially because the whack-ass pay. Let's just get right to the nitty-gritty of it. Like, come on, let's just keep it real. The pay is whack, and then, you've got social workers out here being murdered on the job for this BS pay. And I'm not saying that, it would be okay if they were getting paid six figures. Absolutely in no way, shape, or form is this okay. But it seems like it's been normalized in the profession because nobody's doing anything about it. Just earlier this year, Deidre Silas got stabbed to death in Illinois going out to do a child protective services requirement for her job. So she worked for Family Child Services, right, in Illinois. She got a report of child neglect or abuse. She arrived at the property. The father of the children was there, and he stabbed her to death. Now, she had her own two children, right? She had her own family, and I'm pretty sure she wasn't pulling down major figures doing this job. And Child Protective Services has to be one of the most dangerous jobs, right? In a lot of the cases that I'm looking at for this new YouTube channel that I'm doing about social workers who have been murdered on the job, one of the main themes that I see is most of them were working in child protective services, or they were working with family units in some way, and these families were at risk for whatever, right? Whether a child being removed from the home, or a spouse being removed from the home, or whatever was going on, right? That would fall in the best interest of the child. But it was just horrific. And so there was just no way that I wanted to continue to put my life at risk in the profession. And so that was one of the reasons why I left the traditional field of social work. As a social worker, you're going out to these home visits alone. There's no, company. They're not doubling you guys up. They're not sending you with the police. And so really, it was just definitely not feasible for me to continue to do that. Now, did your social work program tell you about the dangers in the field of social work, or did they keep it hidden from you? Jump into the comments and let me know. I am definitely curious to find out. So reason number 4 that I left the traditional field of social work was because of burnout. Come on now. Burnout is major for social workers. We have so much on us. I know I have a friend who works in substance use disorder, and the treatment plan requirements, the hours that are required for her on the job, I think like one day she has to work a 12-hour shift. I think at one time she had 41 cases, and of the 41 cases, like 38 of them were high risk. And so it started to cause her a lot of burnout, a lot of stress. She really wasn't thriving as a social worker anymore. And so I think it's just truly important to know that you can invest in yourself, and that, I get that burnout has, even though they talk about in social work self-care and this, that, and the other, but through these agencies, or at least where I live and the agencies I've worked for and the things I've encountered, burnout has been normalized, right? It's this notion that, oh my God, she's such a great social worker. She goes above and beyond. And proving this has caused burnout to people. And so, yeah, I was like, no. So I was out of there, because I just don't subscribe to that narrative, and I just never will. There might be social workers, some of you watching this might feel like I'm wrong, and you can feel that way, and maybe this isn't the channel for you. Maybe I'm not the person for you with my views, but I'll be damned. I don't believe in working to exhaustion. I don't believe in working to burnout to prove that I'm an honorable social worker. Yeah, no. No. Now, the fifth reason I left traditional social work was because I was not at all prepared for the real profession. Like, for whatever reason, even though I had encountered social workers, I knew what the job entailed. Once I graduated and actually got into the field, I don't know. I had rose-colored glasses on, y'all, because I really wasn't prepared for the real job, like the real duties of the job, the requirements, the encounters. And a lot of it had to do with most of the things that I've already mentioned as reasons why I left. I was not prepared. And so that was definitely a major reason for me to leave the traditional field of social work. And then last but not least, reason number 6, and this is probably controversial. The reason why I say that is because I've had other social workers tell me, oh yeah, no, you're not supposed to feel that way. But I do. I did. I still do. I didn't like the jobs. Like, every job, I went through a number of jobs. I would probably say I went through about 4 or 5 jobs in the field of social work, different jobs to see, maybe I like this, maybe no, that didn't work out, so maybe I like this. So I tried a few things, but to be honest with you, I didn't like the jobs. I just didn't like the jobs that were being made available to me as a social worker. Now, one thing that I do know is social workers can fill so many roles, right? Things that we wouldn't otherwise necessarily think that we could do. And so, yeah, I didn't like the jobs. It just, so I got into the profession thinking it was going to be one thing, but the reality of the profession was very different. Now, I still have social work viewpoints. I still have a social work mindset. I still believe in helping vulnerable populations, but I want to do it from a very different perspective, hence why I created the 7-figure social worker movement. It's not just to drive around in nice cars and have a lot of money and big houses. It's really to give back to the profession, to the people who actually love doing the work that I really didn't like doing, to ensure that they have higher wages and that they're able to hire more people to absorb and offset some of these caseloads that people are carrying as social workers. It's just crazy, some of the things that I'm hearing, people having caseloads of, in traditional counseling clinics, and they're having caseloads of 40 plus people. I know someone who works in the hospital system, and she has a caseload, I think, of 121 people. That's a lot, and we hear stories of children falling through the cracks, children who end up being murdered by their parents, different people who end up getting harmed because a social worker wasn't able to step in. Well, guess what? When their caseload is crazy like that and they're burnt out, they're probably going to miss something. And it can cost you your license, right? It can cost you your freedom. I have seen social workers, read articles where they've gone to jail because they've made a mistake. But if you have a social worker who is dealing with their own home life, right? They're dealing with their own personal issues. They're dealing with burnout, potentially racism on the job, potentially so many other factors. They have these high caseloads. They're going into review. If they can even get to that person, right? So there's so many factors involved. And I just really think that there needs to be a change. And so the field of traditional social work, where I am living today in New York State, in the city that I live in, was not feasible for me to continue that traditional role simply because I was just so unhappy. I was really not getting from the profession. And I wasn't able, because I wasn't getting what I needed, I wasn't able to give what they needed. And so those are the 6 reasons why I left the traditional field of social work. Now, did you go to social work school to get your MSW or your BSW, and after you graduated, you realize, yeah, I don't know if I like this. You're realizing that it's not for you. Don't feel alone. There's a bunch of us out here. And if you're that person, I want to hear from you in the comments. I want to hear your story. I think that this is something that should be normalized, us having these conversations, and this is not just with the field of social work. People get into other professions. They go to college. They pay all that money just to graduate and realize, crap, I don't like this. And there you have it. The 6 reasons why I left the traditional field of social work. So in my next video, we are going to talk about how you can make more money as a social worker. If you are looking to transition from being a social work employee to a social work entrepreneur, I have got you covered. I have my brand new masterclass training that you can take. The link is in the description box to this masterclass. It is entitled How to Shift from Social Work Employee to Digital Entrepreneur Like a Pro. So go check it out. If you found this video valuable, please be sure to give it a like and click that thumbs up. It definitely helps me out. It helps more social workers to be able to see my content. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and be sure to hit the bell icon so you are notified every time I upload a new video. And until next time, this is your girl Michelle saying, stop waiting. The time is now. Start your digital online business. Bye for now.